On today's show, we head over to the UK and head to Donnington Park, where the 2020 British Touring Car Championship finally gets underway. It's the 63rd edition of Britain's popular form of motorsport, as 26 of the best touring car races do battle in the opening 3 rounds of the season. Then we wind the clock back to 2018 and head up to Australia's top end and Hidden Valley Raceway, as we look back on the action-packed 4th round of the Australian Superbike Championship. This is Speedweek.
Let's head to the sunny skies of Donnington Park in Leicestershire, the venue for the much-anticipated opening round of the BTCC. As 4-time and defending champion, Colin Turkington has got to be a favourite.
Green flag is shown at the back, which means everybody is back from the warming up lap. The 5-second board has been shown. The lights go red, and the 2020 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship is underway with a good start made by Turkington. Good start also made by Oliphant, who tries to find a way past Sutton, but he can't do as yet. Dan Camish is in danger of losing out to the rear-wheel drive cars on the inside of the road. He braves it out on the outside. Turkington gains an advantage already. Sutton goes second. Camish gets eased out wide. He is third. Fourth is Oliphant. Down to fifth is Ingram as they head downhill for the first time.
Perfect start by Turkington, and a good start by Oliphant. Nearly muscled Camish out, who's got problems with low tyre pressures. Ingram down the inside of Oliphant into the old hairpin.
That was forceful. He goes through, but he's gained the place. So Ingram is up to fourth. And there, look, Josh Cook all over the grass, going into Schwant's curve, gets up alongside Tom Oliphant as well. Jake Hill is next in the queue, but look at Sutton. Sutton is going after Turkington. He's in contact behind. That was Jake Hill getting into Josh Cook. Josh is off through the gravel. If he does come out the other side, he's going to tumble way down the order. We're back, everybody.
Yeah, Tom Oliphant actually made a good start, but backed out of it at the first corner and then got a little mugged. Turkington with his wipers on, we did see a few sprinkles of rain just before the start, but Sutton is going with him.
Absolutely. Camish then runs third. Ingram is fourth. Butcher fifth. Small gap sixth is Oliphant. And there, look, a dive up the inside. Chris Smiley versus Stephen Jenny. Hyundai goes ahead for 1 Series BMW Centre Proctor next in the queue. At the end of the first racing lap of the season, then in touring cars, 0.287 of a second. Split Turkington and Sutton. But look at Butcher in the new Ford. He's all over the back of Ingram then. So the Focus versus the Corolla as they head downhill. But Sutton is on a mission. He's inching up onto the back of Turkington.
Watch the cars down the craners as the front wheel drive cars lean on that cold right rear. Looks to be gripping nicely now, so the likes of Camish, Ingram and Butcher are fully up to speed. The free-wheel drive cars do have a bit of an advantage to start with, as Michael Cree slips up the inside of Carl Baldby in that beautifully liveried 125i.
And at the back of the queue, Josh Cook, I'm afraid, in last place after this gravelly moment, as now Sutton comes up to attack Turkington. Collins still with the wiper on, has to go defensive, but while they're squabbling, Camish makes it 3 for the lead. Coming out of Coppice, the double apex right. Turkington has to defend, covers off the inside line, down to the chicane. Sutton's trying to attack and defend at the same time because Camish is right there. Great start to the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, Colin is not looking comfortable at the moment. He's not streaking away. He's had clear track, but he's not streaking away. He's had his wipers on. I don't feel that he's got his tyres quite in yet. The BMW warms his tyres up fairly evenly and fairly slowly. He's not comfortable at the moment.
So they dive down now through Redgate. Look at Ingram and Butcher, 4th and 5th, because they are closing up ever so slightly as well. In 6th place, Oliphant. Hill is 7th, Neil 8th, Ollie Jackson is 9th, and then Sam Osborne is in 10th place as they drop downhill. But effectively now it's 5 for the race lead.
Yeah, it's a good change, a good change. Oliphant and Hill are coming as well.
So there is Smiley, who is currently on the back of Adam Morgan. 11th and 12th they run. Sutton then comes towards the right-hander of McLean, still having to be conscious of where Camish is behind. Fastest lap of the race done by Oliphant now, because he's got clear air ahead of him and he's trying to catch this leading quintet.
Yeah, that just shows as well that Turkington isn't having... Oh, Sutton got a bit of an overlap this time, trying to get up the inside, but Turkington gets across to shut the door. But that's looking ominous. Sutton's car looks really good through Coppice.
So could Ash Sutton win? First time out for him in the Infinity as they come through the chicane up to the end of lap 3 of 16. You see the long queue of cars lower down. There goes Tom Chilton, upholding BTC honour in all of this in 15th place after Josh Cook's dramas. Cook has gained 1 spot back as the leaders dive into Redgate. Lead gap this time, 0.284 of a second, and Sutton looking the quicker of the leading 2, trying to work out where he can make the move. Camish runs 3rd still, Ingram 4th, Butcher 5th. There are the race leaders. 2 rear-wheel drive cars then, BMW versus Infinity. Underlining Bob Moffat's choice to switch away from the front-wheel drive Mercedes to the rear-wheel drive Infinity. People raised eyebrows at him at the time, but look, Sutton now is making a proper bid for the race lead. Round the outside at Schwartz curve, that's going to be the inside line for McLean. 2 wheels up the curb, and Ash Sutton goes through, but there's contact, and here comes Camish up the inside. He's got past 1. Can he get past 2? Sutton gets run out wide. Camish has the inside line up towards Coppice. Sutton leans on him. Camish is not going to take that line down. He's the new race leader. Sutton is sideways with help from Turkington, and off he goes.
Well, it all just got a bit messy, didn't it? A little bit unruly. It was a good move by Sutton round the outside. There was a faintest of touches as they came into McLean's, as Camish came up the inside, and that just continued as the cars lost their momentum up to McLean's.
Here it is again, Tim.
Yeah, there's a bit of a rub there, and just the concertina effect. Turkington looking up the inside, Sutton looking up the inside. There's a little bit of contact. Rear-wheel drive car spins round, can't save it.
Yeah, Butcher still with that fastest lap of the race to his name. And now, of course, as Turkington has to go defensive, so the lead gap will be extending all the way down through the Craner curves. Oliphant and Ingram are almost with them as well, though, now.
Yeah, very much so. Just everybody catching their breath just a little bit at the moment. Will Ash Sutton think he should have been a bit more prudent at the start? I don't know. The door was open. It was just that tiny little bit of contact into McLean's that slowed them up a bit, and then lost their momentum up to Coppice.
And Sutton is still going, and the car is okay because he's done the fastest lap of the race. So perhaps to rub salt into his wounds, he's got a very quick car underneath him. And this is where it all started, Tim.
Yeah, he got a great run, look, and he gets a bit of an overlap. He sees he can keep it going. Turkington gives him room, and at this point you think the job is done, but then just watch, there's the slightest contact, a little bit of movement across the road from Sutton and Turkington. That puts him out on the outside, and that's from the inside of the next corner where they just fell over each other.
So Sutton got turned around, he has rejoined, he is in last place, but he's the quickest man on the racetrack at the moment as Camish comes out of Redgate. This is lap 8 of 16. Matt Neal, you saw in the background, getting away now from Sam Osborne. We've lost Jake Hill somewhere into the pit lane. Yes, Jake Hill, I'm afraid, who was running well in the top 6 early, is in the pit, so drama for Jake, disappointing. Now, Dan Camish leads 6 tenths of a second up. This is at the chicane. Cole Boardley turns in, Josh Cook is with him. And Josh Cook's off again.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good run, has it, for Josh Cook or for Tom Chilton and the 2 BTC cars.
So there you've got the battle pack midfield coming up towards us. Ollie Jackson fending off Adam Morgan. Then Stephen Jelly next in the queue. And Morgan goes for the tighter line coming out of Coppice. Is this going to give the Carlum Triple R Racing Mercedes an opportunity? It should do on the inside line down to the chicane. This is for 9th place. So the Morganator lines up for a move. Through he goes, but there's contact, and that's going to put him wide up the escape road. Jackson is delayed in all of that as well. Adam Morgan 1 up and several down.
Yeah, hard on the brakes and just moving a little bit out to take a line from the chicane, and a bit of contact at the back, and poor Adam Morgan was powerless to stop that. Perhaps he should have stayed a bit more on the inside. I'd have to see that again from the head on to see who was moving across the road.
So big disappointment. He qualified in the top 10. He's fallen way down the order. Aidan Moffat there at the back of that gaggle, heading downhill. He's in 16th place, looking to make progress. And diving down side by side into the old hairpin, the 2 Audis, Bobby Thompson and James Gornall. And it is Bobby Thompson, the mobster, that goes ahead of James Gornall, British GT champion, having his first BTCC race. So the race leaders are currently on lap number 9. There you've got the recovering Ollie Jackson fending off Moffat. Michael Crease also trying to make progress here. Behind, look, Jackson is defending from Moffat. Adam Morgan is in that battle as well. Lead gap is up to 7/10 of a second between Camish and Turkington. There's this long gaggle claws its way now up through Coppice. You also got Jack Goff there in 18th place from the back row of the grid as the two Audi teammates come still hard at it, side by side, and Thompson fends off Gorman again.
Yeah, this is a real battle. This time Morgan does get up the inside and makes the move not sure who that was on, actually. Oh, it was on Aidan Moffat, so he gets through cleanly there, but the Audi's still side by side. Gorman on the outside this time, trying to cut back. Michael Crease right up the inside with Ollie Jackson as well.
So the two Audis then from the same stable, of course. Bobby Thompson, James Gornall dive down towards the old hairpin, and James Gornall's got the inside line, so he's got his place back this time, heading through the old hairpin. Thompson wants it back, of course, straight away. Crease next up, then Jackson, then Morgan, then Moffat. As the race leaders are on lap number 10. This great fight going on at the moment is for 12th place, so the head of the queue in the points at least.
Yes, absolutely, and fighting for all the points. As we get to the front, and now we see Turkington without Butcher right on his tail. He's picked up his pace a little bit, and he's now challenging Camish. We often see Turkington come really strong at the end of the races, don't we? The tyres work very well. We see the front-wheel drive cars get a little bit more understeer as the race goes on. I have said it's a very even track now. Was that a lock-up from one of the Hyundais, or was that another problem? Big blue smoke. There's some blue smoke there.
So let's see as they come over the time.
Yes.
Senna Proctor's Hyundai is the one with smoke, and that, I fear, is a retirement straight away. Senna Proctor pulls across the road, and that's parked.
Yeah, unusually, that looked like a turbo failure. That looked like turbo oil smoke, but very unusual. Oh, and Hamilton's off in the gravel. This could cause a safety car, depending on where it is.
Indeed so. Big disappointment, though, for Senna Proctor. Yes, safety car is indeed deployed, and so that's going to bunch everybody up. So Turkington, having just shaken off Rory Butcher, is going to have him back on his tail under safety car conditions, but the restart is going to be fascinating. Dan Camish then almost at a crawl now, accelerates onto the straight. Now he picks up the pace, tries to get away, and he has done by a couple of lengths down towards the chicane. Colin Turkington will try to go with him. So this is the end of lap 15 of 19, and Dan Camish leads at Donnington.
Yeah, 4 more laps to go. Great restart by Camish. He went pretty early, didn't he, on the straight, and built himself a nice little gap.
And more Recticel, more tyre rat flies in the background as people have shaved the barriers there. Ingram on Oliphant, side by side. That's for 4th. Toyota goes through. Oliphant gets run out wide. Here comes Matt Neal, and Matt Breeze is by as well. So Matt Neal goes 5th now.
Yeah, absolute old story, isn't it? You get hung out to dry, and you lose not just one place in touring cars, you lose 2. And Matt Neal, ever the opportunist, jumped at that chance to get up the inside.
And then in 7th place, having a race of his life, is Sam Osborne, overshadowed last year in the elderly MG, but he's having a great run ahead of Chris Smiley, who is set for 8th, potentially, in the debut race for this new Hyundai. So 2 excellent results on the cars. And actually Osborne fancies his chances of another place, and so does Smiley. Chris goes to the outside, Sam defends the inside line in the older shape Honda Civic. Stephen Jelly next up, waiting for it to end in tears as they now come on to Starkey straight down towards the chicane. So everywhere you look, there's a great battle going on.
Yeah, well done picking up on Sam Osborne, because he never had the chance last year really to show what he could do, but an absolutely inspired move of his to go to the new MV Motorsport team and drive that FK2 Honda.
Look at Matt Neal, there he is, shedding some of the Recticel wrap that he picked up through the chicane. Michael Crease has got something stuck or a bit of damage on his BTC Honda as well. So it shows how hard they're all trying at the chicane, and shows where the damage is coming from. Josh Cook goes ahead of his teammate there. There's the damage on Michael Crease's car. Josh Cook now is up into 15th.
Yeah, Crease obviously the guilty party for hitting those Recticel barriers again. The damage, he's paid for that on the front, but Camish looks to have a nice little gap, half a second he had. As here comes Sutton, taking a pace from Carl Baldley. He's picking up the scraps from the back.
So he's 19th now, Ash Sutton. Camish does indeed lead, but the fastest man in the first sector out of the top 3 is Rory Butcher in the Ford there, look, but he's got Ingram chasing on behind him. Matt Neal there is 5th, 6th Oliphant still, bit of a gap back to Sam Osborne, fending off Chris Smiley, losing pace a little because Sam is having to defend from the Hyundai. Then the BMW next in the hands of Stephen Jelly. 9th, Tom Chilton is 10th, And there you see 25, which is Matt Neal, ahead of Tom Oliphant, down towards the chicane. This to put 17 of 19 laps in the book. Camish with an advantage of half a second on the restart, breaks the beam now, and it's still hovering around the half a second mark.
It is, it seems pretty consistent, and that's without Butcher putting too much pressure on Turkington. Oh, don't run over that. Don't run over that yet. Ash Sutton misses it as he goes up the inside of crease. He's going to make some good places here, and gets up the inside of his teammate Moffat as well.
That was quite a move. He's gained at least 3 spots out of all of that. So Ash Sutton, a man inspired, absolutely flying as he heads off downhill once more. Now this being that 18 of 19. So Sutton again puts himself at the head of that inter-Nissan battle between the two Infinities. Dives through the old hairpin, runs it out wide, but keeps the place, of course.
Did you see the car moving on turning there as he turned into the old hairpin? The back end twitching. As always, Ash Sutton driving the car absolutely on the limit.
Dan Camish, race leader. Colin Turkington has shaken off Butcher for the moment. Look, flash of the lights from Ingram in 3rd place. Team fancying his chances here of maybe getting into the top 3. Might be a big ask against that fleet Ford, but nose to tail almost. The leaders, Turkington bringing down the gap. They're pairing off within the top 6. Look, Oliphant's on the back of Neal. Ingram is on the back of Butcher. And Turkington, who was half a second back from Camish, is now actually dropping away, coming out of the chicane. So Camish stretches it slightly, despite what it looked like coming into the braking zone. Camish looking a bit more secure now with a lap to run.
Yeah, looking pretty calm, pretty consistent, pretty smooth is Camish at the front. It looks a little bit like Rory Butcher's losing the front tyres a little bit. He's not putting the pressure on that he was on Turkington. He's coming under threat from Ingram, so maybe some setup changes needed on the Motorbase car for race 2.
Bobby Thompson having a go to get into the top 10 here against Tom Chilton. So Bobby Thompson having a great drive. Behind him is Adam Morgan. There's the lead gap. It has come down again, a little bit under braking. But Turkington is running out of corners, isn't he? Because really there's only now Coppis, this right-hander, and the chicane to go. So he's got to get a good run out of Coppis. He's got to be bold going up the inside into the chicane. Bearing in mind there are 26 more races to come after this one. Turkington feints to the inside line. Camish looks as though he's going to be able to cover that off as they drop down towards the last corner of the first round of the 2020 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. The checkered flag is at the ready, and it is going to be waved. And Dan Camish, who wins round 1 of the championship. Dan Camish bounces back in style. Colin Turkington is 2nd, Rory Butcher 3rd, Tom Ingram 4th, Matt Neal 5th, Tom Oliphant takes 6th, 7th. Well done, Sam Osborne, Chris Smiley. A great result for the new Hyundai 8th ahead of Stephen Jelly and Tom Chilton to round out the top 10. Let's confirm the result. Dan Camish wins round 1 of the British Touring Car Championship from Colin Turkington and Rory Butcher 3rd. 4th goes the way of Tom Ingram, Matt Neal 5th and Tom Oliphant 6th ahead of Sam Osborne, with Chris Smiley 8th, 9th Stephen Jelly and Tom Chilton rounding out the top 10. Grid is formed. We're going to have 24 cars then ready for our second 16-lap race of the day. Green flag at the back. The drivers now look towards the gantry. They'll have the 5-second board, and then the lights are displayed. Is this going to be a Turkington or a Camish demon start to pick up the race lead? Lights out. It is blast off, and a good start made by Turkington's rear-wheel drive BMW then for the outside of the grid. Also on his toes, Chris Smiley to move across to try to defend in the middle of the pack, but Turkington fends off Camish, who is going to be 3rd. It's Butcher on the inside. Oliphant tries the outside. Matt Neal's got ahead of Tom Ingram. You've also got Sam Osborne on the inside line, and out wide there goes Ash Sutton as they plunge downhill for the first time.
A great start, as you'd expect from Turkington. Just had a little bit more momentum off the line. The traction of the rear-wheel drive car just getting him ahead of Camish by turn 1.
Adam Morgan in a hurry as well on the inside. Tom Ingram still trying to go around the outside of Matt Neal at Schwartz curve. Then the road will come to him. It'll be the inside line into McLean. So the Corolla versus the Civic, side by side on the way in. Stephen Jelly is a man inspired as well. He's sideways as he tries to get up the inside of the Honda. So can Jelly gain a place? Turkington leading. Camish 2nd, Butcher 3rd, Oliphant 4th, 5th is Ingram, and up to 6th is Stephen Jelly. Great first lap from him.
Yeah, he's got a secret ingredient, Stephen Jelly, this week. He was explaining it to me. They've got a new polish on the car, which is a low friction polish.
Makes all the difference, clearly, as there, look, Tom Chilton goes ahead of Chris Smiley. Josh Cook's ahead of Adam Morgan as they dive into the chicane. Ash Sutton next in the queue as they wriggle through there. The gold livery, the nod to the gold roof you carry as a world champion in oval racing. Cole Boardley, multiple national hot rod world champion in that standing out BMW with the gold colour scheme. Down towards Redgate he goes. Michael Crease lines up to have a go against Jack Goff, goes through and almost gets into the back of Boardley, and Hill's in a hurry on the inside too. Yeah, just got it stopped in Creasy before running into... Oh no, that's a shame for Ollie Brown. His second race is looking under question as he comes into the pit lane. Camish under huge pressure from Butcher, Oliphant and Ingram. All of which is letting Turkington get away as the leaders go through McLean's now. Ingram trying to work out where he can make a move against Oliphant. Here it comes. Dives up the inside out of McLean's, trying to line up the inside line going into Coppice. Through he goes, gains 4th place. But all of that has enabled Turkington to get away. The WSR run, BMW up front down to the chicane. This WSR's 25th year in the BTCC. It made its debut in the championship here at Donnington. And one of its cars leads the race in the hands of Colin Turkington. Yeah, we always said the BMW carries the weight very well, doesn't it? Remember last year at this meeting, Colin won both the first and the second races. I do think rear-wheel drive cars carry the weight slightly better. They have a more even platform. Jelly making a move on Neil. Wow, that polish is working well. Everybody's going to want a can of it for the next meeting. Downhill they go then. Stephen Jelly through. That's going to put him up one further spot. And of course, with 12 kilos against the 36 of Matt Neal, the lighter BMW goes through. Matt's having to go defensive now. Osborne is there, almost getting into Chilton. Up the inside dives Smiley. Josh Cook is with them. Look at Sutton because he's in that battle pack. He's about to make a move around the outside of Morgan as they head now through Schwann's curve. Chilton is the one dropping back just a little through all of that. 6 kilos of weight on board his Honda. There he is, and he's got Smiley, who he effectively has taken over from within that team, and then Josh Cook right there behind him. Sutton is still a man on a mission as well, so great racing here. You've got most of the field in a line. Yeah, and it is interesting, isn't it? Both Camish and Matt Neal just struggling a bit with the weight on the cars. I mean, we're seeing a very different race straight away as a result of success ballast. Camish is really fighting the fight. He's hoping the cars behind him trip over themselves a little bit. Maybe those cars are set a little bit loose, a little bit oversteering at the start, because it seems the cars are quite nervous at the first few laps until Camish gets a bit of temperature into the rear tyres. Josh Cook dived up the inside of Chris Smiley, but he can't find a way through. Again, that Hyundai showed really good potential. The Accelerate team's car made an outing. Adam Morgan to the outside as he tries to get back ahead of Ash Sutton. Toe-to-toe they run down through the Crater curve, but Ash Sutton goes through round the outside. That's brave. Well, you know, if you're on the inside of Sutton, you know he's not going to lift, that's for sure. So don't expect any favours from him. Camish still holding a good line. Butcher's being patient at the moment. He is indeed. Camish then in the heaviest car on the grid with its race 1 winner's weight on board, fending off that Focus. So it's 60 kilos of weight, place 48 as they come now almost side by side out of Coppice. Down to the chicane. Rory Butcher should go through. He's got the tighter line, he's got the lighter car, and as they break for the chicane, he's got 2nd place. Yeah, and there you see the difference. Camish, the weight of the car just making it less agile, and Butcher was able to turn underneath it at Coppice. Timing line goes 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Right, the next one to come and strut his stuff is going to be Tom Ingram, isn't it? 4th. He's on the back of Camish now, and he needs to get past before that Focus gets away. Yeah, well, we know Tom Ingram won't be too patient. He'll be up for it straight away. So Ingram goes down through the Crater curves, all over the back of the Honda, and also, of course, he has got Oliphant not far behind him, so Tom knows he can't afford to leave the door open. He dives to the inside, Camish scrambles into the corner. That's Matt Neal versus Stephen Jelly a little bit further back. Matt Neal then goes back through, back up into 6th position. So one of the Alfa Duasa racing cars is on the defensive, the other very definitely is on the attack. Yeah, it's a difficult place to pass up the inside into the old hairpin, because you have to leave your braking so late that you're then slow off the corner. It's not always the best place to try and pass. I'm a little surprised Ingram looked at it, but in fact they ended up just slowing them both down. Sam Osborne under attack from Tom Chilton, but attacking Stephen Jelly as they come now down towards the chicane. Sam Osborne has been one of the standouts of the day, hasn't he? As you said earlier, having flown under the radar last season, he has looked mighty in this car. Out of the chicane he comes. Now there is Rory Butcher. He's in second place. Up to third now is Ingram. Down to fourth is Oliphant, and he might be down to fifth in a moment, because now you've got the Honda there as well. No, he's going to be able to go through on the inside, so he does keep Camish at bay. Now I'm afraid they've all come pouring past down the weight telling.
Yeah, all you can do in this situation is just take your medicine. Camish knows that he's learnt the art of touring cars. You've got to take your medicine. When the car isn't fast enough, that is all you can do. And he's fought the fight, but you can't overcome the laws of physics, and that extra 60 kilos is really hampering.
And that, I'm afraid, is Nicholas Hamilton in the gravel. Out comes the safety car, and his heart sinks.
It's a horrible feeling, I tell you. As a driver, you've done all the hard work, you've got yourself in a great position, you can just click off the laps and maintain the rhythm without making any mistakes, and then bang, the safety car comes out.
But as the green flag is ready, Colin Turkington picks up the pace, dives into the chicane. Rory Butcher is going with him, actually, so the race is going to be extended, of course, because of that safety car period. We are back racing, and what was an over 3-second lead now is 0.3 of a second. Turkington to Butcher. Ingram is third as they dive down towards Redgate, but Sutton there on the outside of Jelly will be the man to watch on this early part of the lap.
Yeah, looking to get a little cut back on Jelly as they come out of Redgate and go through Hollywood. Flat out down the left-hander, they're doing 135 miles an hour down there. The fastest car in qualifying was actually Tom Ingram. Whether it's the fastest car or the bravest driver, I'm not sure, but he was the quickest down there. Look at those margins, inches between Sutton and Jelly, and Sutton gets that job done. Look, he does the same thing there that he did in race one, where he moves over a little bit to take a line for the corner and gets contact with Jelly. That was exactly what happened in race one with Turkington.
And Jelly back up the inside as a consequence, and now Chilton sees the door open up ahead of him. Sutton runs out wide, so 3 wide down to the chicane. Jelly in the middle, Chilton on the inside. On the outside is Sutton. Morgan wants to buy into this, so does Cook, so does Smiley. Sutton's got his nose in front, and he's done it. Fantastic. Jelly and Chilton are still side by side. Chilton gets roughed up onto the grass. Ash Sutton has done it. What a move.
Well, I would have reckoned he was at the least likely to come out of that corner in front. He was on the outside. He just simply braked later than the other two.
Ash Sutton is being warned about track limits. That's the least of his problems, I think. But he's done it. And look, having got the place, he's away. They're all still busy squabbling. Sutton's checked out.
Well, that was a huge advantage to get through that chicane cleanly. He just gapped them instantly. I thought he was going to come out in third place, or third of those three, but he came out in front, and he's now released, well, he'll be after Matt Neal next.
He will indeed, and we are on lap 14 of 19, so he is not done yet, far from it. Now, Turkington is trying to rebuild the lead. Oliphant is trying to get back past Ingram, isn't he? So that's a good little fight that's developing once more also. At the rear of the pack, you see Boardley coming up on the inside of Andy Neaton. He picks off him. There's Jack Goff alongside Sam Osborne. Sam was rather faded since we got to the midpoint of this race, and he's dropped another place here.
Well, you know, maybe a little bit about tyre conservation, I don't know, but yeah, he's got a little bit of weight on, as you say, but only 24 kilos shouldn't have made that much difference, but he's struggling a bit in this race. Looked like Matt Neal was putting Camish under pressure as well. He was looking like he's not going to protect his rear. Look, he's right up behind Camish, so definitely no holding back.
So the two Hondas together as they dive down the hill. Matt Neal in the car with the black windscreen strip. The white one is on Dan Camish's car, so you can tell them apart. Matt thinks about the inside, but he's conscious that that infinity behind is getting bigger and bigger and bigger in the mirrors all the time. So, is Matt going to act as rear gunner, or is he going to force the issue and try and get past Camish?
Well, there'll be some team orders, I'm sure, at some point, either to protect Dan or for Dan to let him through. But if Dan lets him through, he's probably going to lose 2 places because Sutton's going to come through soon enough.
Now this elasticated battle for second, third and fourth, Ingram flashing the lights. At certain parts of the lap he drops away from Butcher because he's defending from Oliphant. Tom obviously feeling that were he to get past the Ford he'd be able to get away, but as ever the Ford really good in a straight line, and then they all catch up with the corners.
Yeah, I have to look at the lap times this time because Sutton has caught Neil very quickly on this lap. And as they come across the line, Neil did a 10.8 and Sutton set the fastest lap of the race at 9.6, over a second quicker than McNeil.
Right, so is he going to get past one or two Hondas on this lap then? I mean, the pace that Infinity has got is amazing. Don't forget, granted, it is ballast free, but boy, is it well driven. Down through the crane as they come. This is lap 16 of 19. Sutton absolutely on his toes. McNeil goes defensive. Now, is this where Ash lines up on the outside of Schwantz to try to get the move on the inside of McLean's? He's done it before, but McNeil doesn't give him any room whatsoever. The Infinity slots back in behind the Honda.
Yeah, well, Ash Sutton does his overtakes to within inches and centimetres, doesn't he? And he's so close all over the back and the side. He'd probably go over the top knowing Ash Sutton.
It's the last place to try, he'll try it. He's on the inside now, coming out of Coppice, makes the run against McNeil. He should be able to go through. And then there is a car that's 60 kilos heavier. Dan Camish, I'm afraid to say, will be easy prey. So through he goes, he gets past McNeil. That puts Ash Sutton up into the top 6, having started 14th on the grid.
Yeah, great traction. That Infinity has really good traction off the corner. Mid-corner at Coppice, he was able to drive the car forwards. Absolutely just drive underneath McNeil, although Matt's obviously got 36 kilos on board, so carrying extra weight is going to be, as you say, easy pickings probably to pick off Dan Camish. Here at the front, Turkington still has a nice comfortable lead from Butcher, Ingram and Oliphant.
And again, Butcher has stretched out the margin by a couple of lengths. There is Sutton all over the back of Camish. He's all over the curbs as well. He never gives up, Ash Sutton. So here they come, nose to tail. There's a driving standards flag now for Dan Camish for track limit abuse. He's got Ash Sutton behind him. Out wide goes Camish. There's a gap on the inside. This is where the Infinity should pounce. It does pounce. Sutton goes through. Sutton goes 5th.
Yeah, that was never really in doubt, was it? Good drive by Sutton. He's got going to run out of laps, I think, before he catches up with Oliphant, but still a great drive, setting himself up nicely for race 3.
Absolutely, we've got the reverse grid to factor in, of course, for that as well. Over the line then goes Turkington, 1.3 seconds ahead of Butcher. Ingram is still 3rd, Oliphant is 4th. His last lap was a 10.5, and Sutton did a 10.2, and he's 2.3 seconds back, so he's certainly not giving up. As you see there, Andy Neate and Jack Goff come through almost side by side. Goff goes ahead as they get to the timing line. 2nd, 3rd and 4th downhill, lap 18, 1 to run at the end of this. You see the gap between Oliphant in 4th, and there is Sutton, who is still with his foot nailed to the boards.
Yeah, Adam Morgan's had a strong race as well in the Sicily Mercedes, up to 8th from 12th on the grid. A good strong race and showing good pace all the way through.
Tom Ingram trying to keep Tom Oliphant at bay. 42 kilos on the Toyota against 30 on the BMW that dives up the inside line going into Coppice, and Oliphant goes through.
Yeah, good move, got a good run out of McLean's with Ingram running wide. The front-wheel drive car's just losing a bit of front-end performance from the tyres, and the rear-wheel drive car's just having a little advantage towards the end of the race.
Through the chicane they come. Tom Ingram then loses a place. Colin Turkington leads the pack, and he goes through now to start the last lap of the race here at Donnington in round 2 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. 2nd, it is Rory Butcher. 3rd is now Tom Oliphant ahead of Tom Ingram. But look, Sutton is almost with them. He is now 1 second back from Ingram, and he was 1.7 seconds faster last time. Yes, I know the car is ballast free, but even so, that is mighty. And a quick look into the pit lane there shows you that we lost Sam Osborne, so maybe it was mechanical to why he was losing places. There is Sutton, and he's virtually up with that Toyota.
Oh, little mistake there. He just needs to be on the back of Ingram as they get to McLean's and Coppice, and then he can do that favourite turn underneath manoeuvre, not out of this corner, but out of the next one, McLean's.
And Oliphant fancies his chances maybe of getting past Rory Butcher. We know those Fords are always very, very quick in a straight line, but Oliphant could barely be nearer going through Coppice. Can he stay on the back to make a move into the chicane? What can Sutton do about Ingram? Sorry, Colin Turkington, but you're not interesting at the moment in a sense, because he's way out front and there are battles going on behind. There is Colin Turkington. He is going to win the race. It's been another measured drive by the reigning champion, who comes through now to score career win 52. Rory Butcher is just going to hang on to 2nd, but who's going to be 4th? Because as they get to the timing line, it was a virtual overlap. Tom Ingram ahead by 0.11 1 of a second over Ash Sutton. Turkington wins from Butcher, Oliphant, Ingram, Sutton, Camish 6th, Matt Neal 7th. So Dan stayed ahead of Max to the end. 8th Adam Morgan, Stephen Jelly 9th, and 10th Josh Cook. 11th Ollie Jackson, Chris Smiley 12th, Tom Chilton dropped to 13th, 14th was Michael Crease ahead of Carl Boardley, Jack Goff, Bobby Thompson, Andy Neat, Jack Butel, and then the penalised Aidan Moffat. And probably with the exception of Colin Turkington, everybody had a busy race.
Yeah, they did. He had a perfect race to score his first win of the year. 90% of the job was done on the start line. Although there's a boost restriction on rear-wheel drive cars off the line, it's clear they still have a slight advantage, don't they? Because it looked like Camish made a perfect start, but Turkington was able to get in front, and that set him up for the race. It also looks like the rear-wheel drive cars, the BMWs, we haven't seen it on the Infinity yet, carry the weight very well. But Sutton clearly has the fastest car on the grid.
And it will be a car that carries weight going into race 3. So it is a race win for Colin Turkington. Round 2 of the BTCC, won by Colin Turkington from Rory Butcher. Tom Oliphant 3rd ahead of Tom Ingram. That late race change putting Oliphant onto the notional podium, with Ash Sutton 5th ahead of Dan Camish and Matt Neal. 8th falls to Adam Morgan, Stephen Jelly 9th, and to round out the top 10, Josh Cook. Round 3 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship from the reverse grid. About to get underway. Take a big deep breath. The lights go red. Lights will go out to get racing underway. Who makes the best start? It should be Stephen Jelly with all the rear-wheel drive positives in the BMW. He cuts from the outside to the inside. It's Jackson that leads the way. Jelly with 2 wheels on the grass tries to get past Smiley to no avail. So Jackson leads. Good start into Redgate corner. Smiley 2nd, Jelly 3rd, but he's way out wide. Up the inside goes Josh Cook.
Excellent start by Ollie Jackson, just launched that Focus off the line, and it's his advantage at the moment.
And we know that those Fords have good grunt, so down through the Craner curves they come. Change for 3rd as Jelly goes wide and Cook is up past him. Adam Morgan tries to get in on the act as well. There's drama in the background, off has gone. Jack Butel in the other Mercedes, and is that Ollie Brown that got involved with him? Either way, I'm afraid Jack Butel is going no further. He's way off in the gravel, damage to the back of the car, and we might well end up with a safety car to get him out of harm's way. But for the moment, Jackson leads Smiley.
Yeah, damage on the back of the car probably tells the story, doesn't it? As the car's concertinaed into old hairpin, somebody got their braking a bit late.
Safety car deployed, and of course they race until they see the board, so there's a bit more shuffling to be done. But Ollie Jackson is going to lead at the end of lap 1. This is going to be interesting because as the race leader, he's going to have to control the restart. They're still racing, of course. The safety car will pick them up, but until you get to the boards, you can carry on battling. There is the safety car, and they all come pouring over the line. Now they have to get the message. They have to lift off the pace, slot into order, and any more dramas averted. But Ollie Jackson at the end of lap 1 led by half a second. Let's see what he can do on the restart. So the 1 lap behind the safety car is complete. The lights are out, so that's going to give us 17 laps as the total as they come down towards the chicane. Ollie Jackson sprints away, and yellows will go in this time. Josh Cook not quite as close to Chris Smiley, his former teammate, as he really needed to be there, but here they come. So Smiley sets off in pursuit of Jackson. Ollie Jackson then leads the way in the British Touring Car Championship in round 3 in Donnington. They come pouring out of the chicane. Carl Boardley through shot in a good 11th place. So there's a very jumbled order, and a lot can yet shake out of this race. As there, look, Dan Camish dives to the outside of Stephen Jelly heading into Redgate corner. This is for 5th place. They lean on each other. Camish is going to get run out wide, is he? Also, look, you've got Ash Sutton trying to get in on the act as well in the Infinity. Jelly hangs onto his place, and Sutton dives through. Great bit of opportunistic motoring that from Ash Sutton. Place secured.
Yeah, that was a brave attempt by Camish to go round the outside on the brakes of Sutton, but that was unlikely to ever come off, and Sutton was there with the opportunity.
Doesn't matter where you put Ash Sutton, suddenly there's action. Jake Hill, what a miserable day, back into the pit lane. He's had 2 engine changes already, and it looks like he's still got problems, as Jackson is not getting away from Smiley. Cook runs 3rd, 4th is Morgan, Jelly is 5th, and everybody else is 6th. Sutton tries to get up the inside of him, but Stephen Jelly is not going to give him any more room than he's needed. Ash Sutton tries tries to make his own line, which involves the curb and the grass and anything else he can use. He's got the inside line down to the chicane. This is going to be his place, surely. Yeah,
Camish may try and go through with him as well, as Jelly has to go across the middle of the chicane. And I talked about Sutton's millimetre judgment, didn't I? Well, it was never better displayed than in that action there. Camish again on the outside of Jelly with Matt Neal looking up the inside. Is this going to work, or is Jelly going to push Camish out wide again? It didn't work last time. Looks like the same things happen.
Matt Neal, then Tom Ingram trying to get in on the act as well. There is Rory Butcher with Cole Boardley behind. Now these two currently are running in 11th and 12th places. Butcher having just got past the BMW. Jackson's under attack from Smiley though. So this is the lead battle. The Hyundai a little bit nearer.
Yeah, but we've seen come up on the screen that the start is under investigation for Ash Sutton. Was he in the wrong box, or did he jump the start? It's under investigation.
And it's nearly 3 for the lead, because now as Jackson is holding up Smiley, Cook has almost caught up to them in 3rd place there. Out of copies they come on lap 4 of 17, extended by 1 because of the safety car period. Adam Morgan running in 4th place, but Cook has done the fastest lap of the race. He's getting nearer to the 2 race leaders, and Ollie Jackson now is feeling the pressure of not 1 but 2 cars right up behind him. Sutton's cleared Jelly, who has now got Camish, Neal, Ingram, then Butcher, Oliphant, and Cole Boardley going really well next up.
Camish keeps trying this outside line, but Jelly's already signalled what he's going to do. He's just going to run him out wide on the exit.
So what does Matt Neal do in all of this? For the moment, he's staying behind Dan Cam, isn't he? As the leaders come onto the top of the Craner curves through Hollywood. Right now, the lead gap, 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, Josh Cook is the first car carrying any weight at all, but it's only 6 kilos. And Jack Goff's miserable weekend continues with broken rear suspension.
He's opposite pit in as Jelly goes out wide at the old hairpin. Can Jack Goff get the car off the circuit into the pit lane, or we need to have the race interrupted again? There's a mechanical warning flag also for Ollie Brown. The track is clear, incidentally. Fastest lap still to Ash Sutton. The race leaders are currently on lap 5, and it was 0.6 covering the top 3. Now, right now, as you can see, you've got Stephen Jelly, the cork in the bottom of that group. Cook's all over the back of Smiley, and the BTC Honda comes up to the outside. Adam Morgan is almost with them as well. So this battle pack for the lead is now 4 cars, and before much longer, it could be 5. Look at Sutton.
Yeah, he's catching them up, isn't he? He's going to be on the tail, especially if they carry on fighting. Ollie Jackson needs to let them get on with it as the 2 former teammates battle it out for 2nd position, with Morgan right on the tail of Cook already as they start the 6th lap.
So onto the top of the Craners. Through Hollywood, they go once more. Ollie Jackson still doing a good job of hanging on to the advantage. Ash Sutton with another fastest lap of the race, a 1:09.628 last time. For the moment, clear track ahead of him, so he's charging along. Stephen Jelly keeping a long train of cars behind him. Jelly 6th, having had one of his strongest days. 3 really good, consistent races. Good pace all through the day. And find wood to touch. The usual Jelly bad luck has not yet struck. Now, Jackson leads, but he's not getting away from Smiley, is he?
No, this group are running absolutely nose to tail, and well, you can see with every corner that Ash Sutton is catching them up. Cook looking to get across the inside. Smiley's covering off each lap.
So Josh Cook, who might be able to do something about Jackson, but Chris Smiley is determined not to let him by. All this is doing is bringing Adam Morgan closer, and look at the way that Sutton's going. Now this is for 6th. Camish on the inside, he's ahead of Jelly finally, who's across the gravel again. Ingram gets tagged sideways, good save, Tom. Round goes Jelly. That's going to drop him way back in the pack.
It's really unfortunate, isn't it? Finally, Camish got up the inside, and Neal and Morgan were trying to take advantage at the same time.
Yes, you know, I mentioned the normal Jelly bad luck. Take it all back, sorry, Stephen. Yeah, my fault. Bad point. Ingram ahead now of Butcher down the hill, and that's for the lead. That's Smiley, and through he goes. He goes a little wide. He's off the road and back on. Here comes Cook. Here comes Morgan. Here comes Sutton. Suddenly Jackson's being attacked from every side. Cook's up to the outside to go 2nd. That's the inside for McLean's. Right up behind him is Morgan. Sutton's got nowhere to go. He's stuck behind the Ford, but Chris Smiley in the Hyundai lead, out wide all over the curb. Goes Ollie Jackson. Sutton is on the inside of Adam Morgan. Who gets ahead of whom? Sutton up the curb. 3 wide at copies. Fantastic racing. Sutton is ahead of the pair of them. So Adam Morgan stays 4th out of all of that. Ollie Jackson drops to the back of the queue. What a race.
Well, we're going to have to call him 3 wide Sutton, aren't we? We saw it in race 2 into the Roberts chicane here. Now we've seen it through copies. I've never seen that happen before, but in both occasions he came out in front. This was the move by Smiley. Late side, just holds it on the edge of the track.
There's something about Ash Sutton that makes him see more of Donnington than anybody else, because he can find lines and places to overtake that nobody else can. Absolutely inspired across all three races, Ash Sutton. He's got the inside line down to the chicane, last of the late breakers, and that man is Ash Sutton. He goes second.
Well, that's his favourite place to pass, isn't it? The car using its traction, mid-corner speed. A thank you, actually, wave to Josh Cook for giving him racing room. But that's a great place to have a car advantage here at Donnington, because it's an easy pass then if you can get up the inside on the exit of Coppice.
We've been talking all day about what a great job Ash Sutton's done in that Infinity. Credit too to Italian engineer Federico Torrata, who worked on the car last year with Aidan Moffat, has been working on it in lockdown from afar in Italy, but he has put a lot of effort into transforming this car, and look at the way that it's going. A good rear-wheel drive car with 2017 champion behind the wheel. He's now going for the race lead. Chris Smiley is going to have to work harder than ever to keep him at bay. They almost touch, but this is a fantastic lead battle. Surely it is when, not if, Sutton gets past, but Smiley, he's going to make it hard for him, as hard as he possibly can, that's for sure.
Well, this is where he can do it. He only needed to really wait for this corner if he'd been a bit more patient. Look, he just needed to wait. He backed out of it, actually, at McLean's, because he knew that his opportunity was coming here at Coppice.
So Sutton is through, he's got the job done in a straight line, and Josh Cook now will have another go at getting past Chris Smiley, but Ash Sutton has come storming through the order. He started 8th on the grid, he's got 36 kilos of weight on board as well, don't forget, while we're talking about how well he's going. Smiley stays with him, ballast free in the Hyundai. Josh Cook third, 6 kilos on board in the BTCC Racing Honda. Adam Morgan fourth, he's back with them again. Adam has been there pretty much race long, knocking on the door, saying, let me in, I want to be part of this battle, but it's not quite happened for him as yet.
Interesting, Turkington is still only in 10th place, and behind his teammate Oliphant. Oliphant is only 12 kilos lighter, so it's certainly no team advantage being given to Turkington at this stage. I got the impression that Neil was quite happy to sit behind Camish earlier, so maybe they need to look at that. But Turkington hasn't made as much progress as he would have liked. There he is, the last of the cars in shop there.
Second of the WSR run BMW, so Ash Sutton leads the way by 0.8 of a second from Chris Smiley. Still a mighty effort this by Smiley, as that's Thompson getting it all wrong at the chicane. Can he hang on to it? He can, but he loses one place to Michael Crease, another to Senna Proctor, another to Aidan Moffat. So after a bit of a Code Brown moment at the chicane, Bobby Thompson is still going in the right direction, albeit 3 places lower down.
Yeah, I didn't know Donnington had a rallycross circuit.
It does now. You see, it's called diversification. You have to do it in the new normal. Right, there's Ash Sutton, the race leader, 0.8 up, and he is ahead of Smiley, Cook and Morgan, who are still arguing over second, third and fourth.
Yeah, and Ash Sutton, barring any mishaps, has definitely got this one under control, hasn't he? But this intriguing battle for second is continuing on. Camish and Ingram, are they creeping up a little bit on the back of Ollie Jackson? Always a little bit of movement from the rear of that Honda as he turns into Coppice. Dan Camish has that car quite loose at the rear to try and save the front tyres later in the race.
The answer to the question is yes. Camish and Ingram are fractionally quicker than Jackson, only by 10ths, but they're getting there bit by bit by bit. So Ash Sutton's lead was 0.8 last time. It's 1.2 seconds now over Chris Smiley, who I think will still be really chuffed if he can get a podium first time out, first weekend out in that Hyundai. Third is Josh Cook, only 0.3 up on Morgan. That's still up for grabs, third place.
Yeah, fastest lap as back on lap 5 went to Ash Sutton. No one's going to get near that today or in the rest of this race. 1 minute 9.6.
Ash Sutton could be on for a 15th career win if he can hang on in there. The gap is extending, as you see. Second, third and fourth going through. Still the same order of Smiley, Cook and Morgan. And credit to Ollie Jackson here. I know he's dropped away from that race lead that he held early on, but 5th place is a very good effort. We've had him up higher than that in the past, but normally in quirky races where tyre choice for the conditions has mattered. I know this is a reverse grid race and weight carries an element as well, but he's shown good pace in the ballast free forward all through the race. Ingram gets up the inside of Camish. This now is for 6th place. So the Toyota alongside the Honda. Ingram has got the ideal line down to the chicane. Has he got the pace in a straight line? Just about. He's also later on the brakes, and he's through.
Yeah, Camish is going to take the points out of this one and move on to Brands, isn't he?
Indeed. Right, who's going to be second, who's going to be third, who's going to be fourth before the end. I just wonder whether Jackson might not be coming back at Morgan as well. He's taken a 10th out of him, so it's a modest gain. Ingram we've seen take a place, so can he do anything about Jackson ahead of him? Bearing in mind, we've only got 3 laps to go. Yeah,
this race has gone very fast, actually, hasn't it?
Yeah. So the start of the season has been a long time coming. The day has flown by, but we've had some great racing across all categories. And Ash Sutton then is building that gap. It's going to be fascinating to hear what the paddock thinks about the pace of him and the Infinity together at the end of today. Oliphant still clear of Turkington. They run in 9th and 10th places, inching up onto the back of Matt Neal now.
Yeah, just probably going to just about get there, aren't they, by the end of this race?
Matt having dropped back from Camish. Now, still Adam Morgan, frustrated that he can't quite find a way past Josh Cook. Josh made a slight error coming a little bit wide out of the previous corner. Morgan is right there behind him now as they drop into the chicane, but is he near enough to have a go on the run in towards Redgate? Of course, Cook is a comparable gap back from Chris Smiley, so he wants second as much as Morgan wants third.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of gesticulation maybe from Adam Morgan coming down the straight, or maybe he's just shaking out his hand to get rid of some tension, not sure.
There are a lot of drivers that can take a lot of credit for individual drives today. Sam Osborne was one at the start of the day, Ash Sutton throughout the day, and Chris Smiley is another one in this race, because second he remains, and he's doing a great job, isn't he, keeping Cook at bay, his teammate of last season, and Adam Morgan has dropped back by a length or two.
Yeah, I'm amazed how many drivers clip that inside bit of grass coming down the Crater curves on the left-hand side. I always used to stay well away from that, but the cars seem able to take it, no problem at all.
Jackson in the background, still being caught by Ingram. There is going to be one more lap to go at the end of this. Ash Sutton now 2 seconds clear.
And Oliphant and Turkington have just got onto the back of Matt Neal.
Senna Proctor going off at McLean's, avoids the gravel, aims for the grass, and should be able to rejoin the circuit and carry on in the race. And the leader then, Ash Sutton, is soon to start the last lap. Neal caught by Oliphant and Turkington. Of course, Matt Neal might be dropping back deliberately from Camish to protect his teammate and keep the BMWs at bay, because certainly there's a gap between the two Hondas, and again Dan Camish being able to score greater points than his teammate. So a lap to go then as they go through Redgate, and Ash Sutton certainly deserves a race 3 win because he has been a star all day long.
Yeah, he has, and he's going to pick up some nice points in this race to put him right up there, deservedly so. Remember, he was turned around in race 1 and fought his way back in the rest of that race and race 2, so this is very well deserved.
And all those people that were saying Colin Turkington is going to dominate the championship will have had 3 different winners out of 3 races, a mix of front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive machinery. So the 2020 British Touring Car Championship certainly looks set for a great season. We've had a great day of racing, and there's another battle to resolve, and it's for second place. Ash Sutton leads down to the chicane for the last time. It is going to be a 15th win in the championship for him, and the first ever win for an Infinity. Through the chicane he comes, the Laser Tools Racing Infinity Q50 of Ash Sutton wins round 3 of the British Touring Car Championship, and Chris Smiley is going to hang on to second. Is he only just as he swerves across the front of Josh Cook to celebrate the place? Smiley second, Cook third, Adam Morgan 4th, Ollie Jackson 5th, Tom Ingram 6th ahead of Camish, Neal, Oliphant, Turkington 10th. For the rest of the point scorers, Rory Butcher 11th, Tom Chilton 12th, Michael Crease 13th, just ahead of Carl Boardley, who's another one that's had a good solid day. Should be pleased with that. And Bobby Thompson salvages the last point, just ahead of his teammate James Gornall. But well done, Ash Sutton. He didn't put a wheel wrong. The results of round 3 of the BTCC: Ash Sutton the winner at Donnington, Chris Smiley second, Josh Cook taking third ahead of Adam Morgan in 4th, and Ollie Jackson in 5th place.
Coming up after the break, we wind back to 2018 and head to Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin for round 4 of the Australian Superbike Championship.